This is Kev Millar from the 2004 World Champion Boston Red Sox, and you're listening to Boston's Big Three podcast presented by Ride the Wave Media.
All right, everybody. Welcome back to Boston's Big Three, episode 44. This is the Spike King, filling in for Tyler Miller. No Tyler Miller today. No Big Head Miller. No Joe Stafford either. But we got Brendan Watabe on, and we have a special guest, one of the newest acquisitions to Ride the Wave, which I'm very excited to have on board, and we'll get to that in a second. Because of first, we got to do a little ad read. We got to do a little sponsor and show some love and some support to those that keep Ride the Wave afloat, that keep Boston's Big Three afloat. And one of today's sponsors is Pete's Pop. And we got to give a shout out first to Pete's Pop because they're the reason why we had Gino Grisham on last episode. If you haven't checked that out, make sure you check out Gino Grisham, Boston's Big Three. That was episode 43. But Pete's Pop is located on 151 Benefit Street in Pawtucket, Rhode Island. Pete's Pop has the world's most exotic chips, candy, and soda under one roof. Check out their Instagram, Pete's Pop. That's PETEZPOP. Or you can go on their website, petespop.com, for the wide selection and place an online order. Guys, Boston's Big Three. It is March. I believe it's Sunday the 22nd. I have no idea what's going on. The world is collapsing almost around us. There's still no sports. I think this is day 9 without sports. But we're still trucking along. And I am happy to introduce one of the newest members of Ride the Wave. For those that are unaware, he is actually one of the original GOATs. You know, everyone goes out there and they try to say, oh, I'm the GOAT, I'm the Tom Brady GOAT, blah, blah. He was one of the original ones to do it. And if you haven't, we actually had a couple episodes ago, Justin Zolat was on here and they're boys and they're good friends with each other. I mean, this individual was in a Bud Light commercial as well. He served our country in America. And if you haven't checked it out, the Stadium Blitz that's been going around, the Rob Gronkowski Stadium Blitz, he's an active family member with them right now. He's done every single one of them, I believe, so far. I want to introduce to you guys one of our newest writers for football and all sports. He's going to be also on the main page, which is a big call-up right there, too, from the no league to the A league like that. And I can't wait to see his takes. Jay Lessard, what's up, my man?
What's up, buddy? How you doing? Thanks for having me.
No problem.
Glad to be a part of the fam.
So just talk to us. Give us a little introduction about yourself to those that are unaware of who you are, and we're going to go from there. We'll pick your brain a little bit.
Yeah, sure. First of all, my name is obviously Jay Lessard. I am from the great state of Connecticut, about an hour outside of Gillette. Brandon, see the hat? That's actually where I'm from, Stores, Mansfield area.
Hey,
so
come on.
Represent UConn.
Bleed blue, baby.
Love it. Bleed blue all day. A little about me. I've just been a diehard Pats fan since the Tony Eason days, a little before your guys' time, but that's okay. Just loving every single day that I get to be living in as a member of Pats Nation. Like you said, I did the Bud Light commercial. We can go into that a little bit more. I got the Stadium Blitz thing going on now. That's about it, man. Just every day I'm trying to promote Pats Nation, be a part of Pats Nation, represent Pats Nation. And especially down here in Tampa now.
I feel like the bottom of the totem pole between this group of three that we have here, because both of you have been in a Bud Light commercial and then an NFL Network commercial promoting Bud Light as well.
In the beer aisle, by the way, right?
Yeah.
Huh?
You were in the beer aisle, though, right?
It was actually
he was a Bud Light delivery guy.
It was funny because they were like, this is our role that we're going to give you. And I had no idea what it was. And then I kept sniffing it out. And they're like, yeah, you're going to be, because Bud Light's a major sponsor of the NFL. Right. They're like, yeah, you're going to be just holding Bud Light because that's a New England thing, right? And I was like, that's more than a New England thing. That's a Spike King thing, dude. That's a Babs thing, like Bud Lattes.
Yeah. But not only the commercials, but as well as like Jay's one of the original guys to wear like a goat outfit to a Patriots game. And then Babs was one of the original guys to wear a taco to a Celtics game.
Yeah. And my thing to everybody that's listening and those watching is that about Jay, a lot of people look at me and the Spike King and they're like, oh, the Spike King's like the #1 fan of New England Patriots. And no, it's really not. I mean, I love the Patriots, don't get me wrong. But there are so many other people out there that have stories that have been there and done that don't have the exposure that I've built up. And that's what I love about using the platform that I have built. I know some people look at me and think I'm a douchebag or an asshole, arrogant, and you have to be from time to time. And I know the people out there that are fake, that are frauds, that are trying to come on a come up and that are not real into this. And then I know people like Jay, or I know people like Justin that have been there, done that, and doing something that needs the exposure out there. And that's what's been great over the last couple of years of doing my traveling, coming up on Patriots Nation, and finding these little people out there that are major players in Pass Nation that deserve the spotlight. That, hey, you know what? You know what, Jay? Look at that. I'm backing off. Take the spotlight and go for it. So I'm really happy that we can have you on and have your insight, because like you said, you've been a Pats fan longer than us. And when was your first, do you remember your first game at all? Like, let's say your first game that you've ever seen, your first game that you might have ever attended, and kind of go from there.
Yeah. So I remember being a little kid. God, I was like 6 or 7 years old. It was 6 years old. It was 85 Super Bowl against the Bears. And I remember there was this grown man that lived in my apartment complex. I was out riding my bike, and I had like a Patriots like AFC Championship, shirt on. And this was in Rockville, Connecticut, and he started talking smack about the Patriots to a child. And I was like, oh no, we're gonna win. I had no idea that we were going up against the greatest defense of all time, that we were going against, Walter Payton and all that. And I bet him $1. And I was like, I bet you $1 that we're going to win. And he shook my hand. And a couple days later, he knocked on my door, and my mom had to go get her purse and pay this grown man. He had to have been like 25, 30 years old. And he took $1 from me. And so that's my first memory as being as a member of Pats Nation, is just losing a freaking $1 and getting our ass whooped.
That's funny, because that sounds like the Spike King going to a little kid and be like, I need $1 from you. Like, it sounds like something I would do. What's great about that is it does show that for someone like you have lived through that time of the 85, 86 season, and you went through all those losing seasons as well. How old were you when that first Super Bowl ended up, that first winning Super Bowl, 2001?
22 years old.
So 22 years old. So this is just to show everybody out there. Not gonna reveal your age, but
it's all good.
Again, I've been saying, like, I was in 5th grade when they first won the Super Bowl. And Super Bowl 49, I was about 20, 21, 22, 23, whatever I was.
Yeah.
And that meant more to me. So what did the 96 Super Bowl mean to you compared to the 2001 Super Bowl? Can you tell me where you were for both Super Bowls?
Yeah, so against the Packers, I was at my dad's friend's house. He had a bunch of kids my age. So he got a bunch of the neighborhood kids together, and just your typical like family Super Bowl party, real low key. They had like the finished basement with the pool table and whatnot. And I was older then, I was in high school, and I kind of knew, like, we probably don't have a chance, but man, can I curse?
Yeah, you can do whatever you want. This is free form.
I was like, this is fucking awesome. Like, we're going against Brett Favre. Like, we're in the Super Bowl. We're going to shock the world. And, this is before anything got started. Like, Red Sox hadn't won yet. Celtics hadn't won in forever. So, I just grew up, like, nothing but losing in New England. And I thought we had a chance. I remember sitting on the couch at halftime. I was like, I think we're good, And then Howard returned that kick. And I was like, no, that's it. That's game. We lost. And so that sucked. And then, obviously, when we played the Greatest Show on Turf, I was actually here in Florida at the time. It was right before I joined the military. And I was at my boy's house just having a house party. And we had some adult beverages. I think we were doing – actually, I don't know if you can call them adult beverages, because I think we were doing, like, Jack Daniel's, like, country cocktails or whatever.
Like a Fireball or something.
Yeah, something real weak. But yeah, I sadly don't remember too much of that, because I just started drinking and I went a little too hard. And so that's one that I've had to watch on repeat a lot to kind of relive the memories, to be honest with you.
But it's funny to show, and what I've liked over time, again, meeting through Patriots Nation. Actually, when I lived up in Lawrence, my neighbor across the street, has been following them since 1960. And it was like he knew them as the losers, the lovable losers out there, and knew that they were the bottom feeders of the league. And it's interesting to see the different times out there of Pat's Nation where you got to celebrate their first Super Bowl, or you got to see them grow up, where a lot of the newer generation, and again, like I take it like me because I'm 28, 29, people that are pretty much 30 and under don't know what losing's like. They don't understand some of those seasons. Yeah, like we're spoiled, absolutely spoiled, man. I say to anybody out there that talks shit, I was like, I was born into greatness. Like you can't, you know what? It's just not unfortunate, but I love that. So it's good to hear your sides of the story, and you know where the Pats have come from, and to be able to ride this wave for the last 20 years. Yeah, and now you know. And you do know what life is like without Tom Brady. You've seen that already before.
Yeah,
it's less than fun. So, Brendan, do you have any questions so far? I know I don't want to keep you totally silent.
No,
I could
absolutely.
Talk forever.
I just think it is a cool story because, like you're talking about, I'm definitely the youngest guy here. I'm only 21, but still, I remember all the victory parades from when I was like a baby still. Like I was 3-4 years old when the Patriots started winning these, and I didn't have a care in the world for their first 3. But I do remember that is a funny story, Jay, that you talk about how you have to go back and watch like some of the highlights because you were drinking a little bit. The first Super Bowl win that I remember was that Super Bowl 49 win against the Seahawks because I fell in love with football like 3-4 years prior to that. And I had gotten a concussion like 3 days before that game, and I barely remembered it. Like my memory kicks in like right around the fourth quarter, when Jermaine Kearse like has that circus jumbo or the like just juggling crazy catch, and I was like, oh crap, well that's it. We're gonna lose again. I'm never gonna see the Pats win except for like when they were on VHS when I was a kid. That's I totally relate with you there. Got to go back and watch all the highlights from the first 3 quarters of that game to figure out what happened.
It's funny because it's like Super Bowl 49, I think for our generation, that younger generation, is the more meaningful one. But like they say, the first one is obviously it should be the most meaningful one because, hey, this is the first one that kicks off the dynasty. Yeah. It's just funny how 20 years of just greatness through generations and how it's like a decade and then another decade, but you still had the same players, you still had the same coach, the same ownership during all of that.
It's a testament to the organization and the team and you know, Belichick and Brady, the fact that, you know, 2 different generations can come in and we're talking about essentially the same team. You know, we all have our first Brady Super Bowl memories, even though, you know, they're 17 years apart. It's nuts.
And everyone in between those generations are going to have their favorite players throughout. Like someone's going to be like, Ty Law was my guy, dude. Or, hey, I'm a Troy Brown guy. Then you might have fast forward like, yo, I'm all about Wes Welker. Some people are saying Wes Welker is better than Julian Edelman. And now you have guys that are saying Julian Edelman's the guy. But there are people like that, Brendan. I've seen those people
absolutely.
that go up to Fitzy and yell at Fitzy. And they're like, I was more of a Welker guy. And Fitzy, you're a loser, this and that. It's actually funny.
Welker was a beast, y'all. Welker was a beast.
Yeah.
Edelman's more fun, but Welker's a beast.
See, when I first started watching football, it was like I watched 1 or 2 seasons with Wes Welker, and then he transitioned out to Denver. And then Edelman really stepped up, and I fell in love with him. He was like my favorite player.
I want to move on a little bit here and keep this flowing. Your Bud Light commercial, your Bud Latte commercial. Can you just talk to me about that? I was trying to find the video, and I couldn't find it on your Instagram because I wanted to post about it today.
It's in my
it's in your bio. So that Dito, if you're listening out there, you're gonna take this because he'll take this video clip and put it together. Let's talk about the Bud Light commercial. Can you refresh my memory a little bit of how that became to be? Talked about your 15 minutes of fame as well too.
Yeah, definitely.
That also led into you going to Gillette Stadium as well, and you got to meet Ty Law off of it, right?
Yeah. So that was all part of the same ordeal. Experience. Basically, what happened was. As you know, Pats Nation in every city, they have like a fan club. Like Zolot runs the Nashville club. I was a member of the Baltimore fan club. And the casting agent, shout out Teresa Bennett, doing big things in Hollywood actually right now. But she was reaching out to all the fan clubs on Facebook saying, look, I got an opportunity. It's on the hush hush. I can't really say what it's about. But if you're a Patriots fan between the ages of, like, I think it was like 21 and 25 or whatever it is, I got an experience for you. And I thought nothing of it at all. And I just kind of commented back because I think I was like 34, 35 at the time. And I was like, everybody knows I like the best Patriots fans, and the best looking Patriots fans are in their 30s. Just as a lame joke, and then I moved on with my life. 2 days later, I get a DM from her, and she goes, "You do not look like you're in your 30s. Give me a call." So I give her a call, and she's saying, "Hey, do you have any cool Patriots stories?" And I told her about how when I was deployed, it was the Super Bowl against the Panthers. Comes on in the middle of the night. I had no TV, no way to watch it. I'm in Baghdad. So I wake up in the middle of the night, and I break into my first sergeant's office, his hooch where he sleeps at night. And I watch the game quietly in the middle of the night. And we had formation in the morning to get ready to get our briefing on what our mission was going to be for the day. And it was the commercial before the field goal, the game-winning field goal. And I was like, I'm not moving. You're going to have to write me up. I'm going to get in trouble because I am not leaving this couch right now. So he let me watch the kick, watch the Super Bowl, and then I immediately went right to work. So I told her that story. She's like, "That's amazing. I love it. You got a military background. You're obviously a diehard Pats fan. Let me go talk to some people. I'll give you a call back in a couple of days." And she talked to some producers, and they got back to me like, "Do you have a cool story about like you and like a friend that you met because of the Patriots?" And my buddy Adam, actually, we would watch Patriots games every Sunday together at the same bar, at the Patriots bar in Baltimore. And when we made the Super Bowl 49, I put out there like, "Hey, I'm having a pre-party at my house. We're going to do some shots before we get to the bar." I put the address. Turns out we lived across the street from each other. Never knew that. Literally lived across the street from me the entire football season. Told her that. She's like, "That sounds great. That's a great story. I love it." She comes back to me. "Do you know any girls?" The producers wanted a girl. So the girl in the video is actually my ex-girlfriend. She was my ex-girlfriend at the time of the filming of that video. And we had not talked for a while. So that was fun. So I reached out to her and I was like, "Hey, I got this thing. We're going to go to Gillette," because they asked us to like clear our schedule between like September 9th and September 12th or something like that. So I knew it was Bud Light at the time. I knew that we were going up to Gillette for week 1 for the banner drop. All the Patriots Hall of Famers and the red coats come out on the field. So I knew we were going up for that. And like I said, so they flew us up, and we get to the hotel and just bombarded with video cameras. I didn't know this was a thing. I thought we were just checking into the hotel. And they hand me a Bud Light, and they drink it, and they tell me about all this experience and whatnot. And then they're like, "All right, do it again. Walk back in, walk back out." I'm like, I am not an actor, guys. I cannot do this. That's the best take you're going to get. We did that about 5 times. And to go actually check into the hotel. And one of the producers was like, "Oh, what are you guys doing tonight?" I'm like, "Literally, there's a Chipotle right down the street." So we were in Copley. And she's like, no, you're going to this. And it was the Matt Light Foundation was doing a thing at the House of Blues next to Fenway, sponsored by Bud Light. So open bar, a bunch of former players were there. And I was like, "Yeah, that sounds good. Let's do that instead." So I went there. That's the first time that I actually met Ty, was there, Ty Law. And I wasn't actually supposed to meet him because he was obviously part of the commercial. And my surprise, I was going to meet the next day. So the next day, the producers and the director, shout out Johnny Stewart, the director of the commercial, they pick us up, take us to the stadium, mic us all up. We're tailgating. They're getting shots. We went to the pro shop, got a little shopping spree in there, met some of the cheerleaders, went to the Patriots place, did all that, looking at the trophies and whatnot. And then get on the field, and it's literally surreal because it's like me and this girl followed by this like giant camera crew walking on the field of Gillette for the home opener for the banner drop. This is right after like Deflategate and everything. Brady comes running on the field. Everybody's going nuts. So I was on the field for kickoff, which was just dope as hell. Then we went up to the Anheuser-Busch suite, and in the second quarter, Johnny, the director, goes, "Hey Jay, why don't you come sit up front?" And I was like, "I'm good, let those people sit up there. Like I'm good. Like my day is complete." And he's like, no, sit up front. And he goes, "Why don't you look over to the right?" And my dumbass picture is on the Jumbotron during one of the timeouts. And the PA announcer is like, "New England Patriots and Bud Light would like to thank former U.S. Army Sergeant Jay Lessard, this and that, and get a standing ovation. And I'm not gonna lie to you, I might have teared up a little bit. It was pretty dope having 70,000 people cheering for me and whatnot. And then at the end of the night, because at the time they were doing this for other fans, for other teams, and they were just putting it on YouTube, on Bud Light's YouTube. And this lady comes up to me, she goes, "Hey, we really like the footage that we're getting from you. Like, you're a real good personality and whatnot." She goes, "This is gonna be national. We're gonna put this national." And I was like, "Wait, what?" And mind you, I've literally been just drinking Bud Lights for like 2 days straight, nonstop. They hired a guy off of Craigslist whose only job was to carry 6 cold Bud Lights at all times. So whenever I finished one, he would just hand me another one.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah. And so, months go by, and then, because that was week 1, and around November, it starts airing, and just blown up, like people from like middle school, high school, random girls sliding into my DMs.
Hey.
Like, "Hey, are you still with that girl?" I'm like, "No, relax, get away, But it was dope. Like, just, all my old Army buddies like texting me like, "Oh shit, you're famous now." So it was a fun little, like you said, 15 minutes of fame. I think everybody should experience that, because it's crazy when you're just, and you're just flipping through the TV, you're watching, and all of a sudden your dumbass face is on TV.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
A couple things that that my mind's racing because you're talking about it. I want to interrupt you every single time.
No, you're good. Sorry, I'm a little long. Yeah.
No,
it's all good.
You need to explain everything that goes on.
Yeah.
It's funny because you're explaining this entire 2-day ordeal, and you have a camera following you, and it's all this footage, and it's only for 30 seconds.
30 seconds.
And that's all the commercial is, because I have it up here. I'm actually going to play the commercial if people can listen to it. That's why I want to, and I'm sure this will get edited in. Brendan, you could do the magic of boom like that, because it's on YouTube out there. It's in Jay's profile as well, too. We definitely should play this commercial. So I'm going to play it right now for the listeners, but the viewers will end up getting it.
I'm former United States Army Sergeant Jason Lessard. Out of nowhere, I get a call from Bud Light inviting me and a friend to Boston.
It's time for the coin toss. Heads, you meet a Pats offensive legend. Tails, defensive legend. Tails.
Yes. Woo! Meet Ty Law, one of my favorite Patriots of all time.
They go out there and do what you guys do.
A lot braver than I am, man. Greatest day of my life, and I can't thank Bud Light enough for everything they've done to make this possible.
Like, that doesn't even sum up in watching that compared to the story of everything that goes on. Like,
we literally did that coin flip, and I think about 5 different spots. Probably flipped that coin at least 150 times.
Was it double-headed coin, like 2 tails on both sides? Because
No, it was actually have the coin somewhere up here on my wall, but it's so the whole offensive pass, it was Ty Law the whole time.
Yeah.
And real quick, shout out to Ty Law. Like, could not have been nicer. I found out, it got leaked that he was going to be the guy that I was going to meet, and I was obviously stoked. Like you said, being a part of that little older generation. Ty Law was my high school and college years, and he came out and gave me a big old hug on the field. And what people, you can kind of tell in the commercial is, it was pouring down rain that day, and and he had things to do. He had the pregame ceremony to do, and I'm thinking in my head, he's just gonna come out, make his little appearance, take his little photos, do his little spot with me, and then roll out. And he stayed and talked to me for a good 10-15 minutes, and he really wanted to know my story, what the military was like, where it was like deploying and all that. And I'm thinking, bro, you can talk to an Army guy any day of the week. How many times am I going to talk to multiple Super Bowl champion, at the time, future Hall of Famers? I'm not going to get this conversation too often. Never mind being recorded and having photographers following me all the time. So just a great guy. And I was lucky enough to run into him again in Atlanta after he made the Hall of Fame. I ran into him and his son at the airport. It was just dope. Just shout out Ty Law. Just
full circle.
A classier guy.
And 2 things. Number one, first of all, it's amazing to have all the cameras just following you around at all times. Like, dude, if that was the Spike King and he's got all those cameras, I'd be soaking it in, because everyone's looking at you. Everyone's watching you at all times, especially when you're on the field. And I've gotten the opportunity this past season, very luckily, fortunately, because to know people that I got to go on the field at halftime and everyone's watching you, or even in Pittsburgh, I got to do pregame and people who know who you are, everyone's looking at you because you are sitting in your stands like, who's that person? I want to be that person. And you got to be that person for that day and one of the most ultimate days. And then speaking of Ty Law, obviously, you know, the stuff that I've gotten to work with him and how he's come on here. And I'm sure at some point, I will make this happen for you because Ty is going to come back on at some point. I try getting him to come on and talk about Brady. He's like, I'm fucking sick of talking about Tom Brady. Let's talk about something else. He's like, I don't want to come on and talk about it. But I'll make sure we get a little reunion at least on Skype here for you guys. Cool. Maybe we could talk about that. And no, but Ty, I mean, we can't speak more than him. He literally takes the time out of his day to make it seem like he's not even a Hall of Famer. It doesn't matter about those 3 Super Bowls. It means nothing. Like, it's like he is literally so down to earth and everything like that. And that's why at, you know, Ride the Wave, we're happy that we're going to be able to work with him and working with his new company, V1 Vodka. And a little bit about V1 Vodka, another ad read for you guys out here. V1 Vodka is a clean drinking vodka, pure and simple. It's the world's only vodka made from 100% non-GMO spelt, a prized ingredient in the distillation hierarchy from farm to glass. This is a vodka that champions drink. And we're glad that we're able to partner up with Ty Law. And I can't wait till sports comes back and the bars open back up because this is probably the worst time to have an alcohol read because there's nothing open right now. We had all these plans going forward. But no, that's awesome. And if you have the chance out there, make sure you check out Jay Lessard. Jay the Pats fan is his Instagram. Check it out. It's YouTube. It's the link in his bio. And again, 30 seconds does not symbolize what the entire day was. And same thing with me. I'm not going to talk about my journey. I've done it before already on one of these podcasts, but mine was a whole 2-day thing because I got flown out to LA and they only filmed us for like an hour or 2, but it's like everything that goes around it, all the different people you meet and all that stuff. Transition, Stadium Blitz.
I feel like I'm destined to be in a commercial now. Just being on here with you guys. Yeah, I have to go meet Tom.
Gonna rub off on you.
I have to go be in a commercial now.
We know the people now.
We're A-listers, man. Like, you know, like we're Hollywood. Like, we're out there. And it's funny. It's fun to get your 15 minutes of fame because then people see it and they're texting you. And it's funny, even last year. You know what I wanted to say before we do move on? I apologize. Is that you literally just saw that casting call in a way and you just shoot your shot. And there was, and again, she said, we have to be super quiet about it. We can't really tell you what you're doing, blah, blah, blah. And you just and you said you're out of the age range, but you still shoot your shot. And look at just doing that simple message and that led to a DM that led to you having the ultimate weekend that anybody would want to have, whether it's the Matt Light thing the night before, drinking all the fact you have someone walking around with 6 Bud Lights at all times and making sure that you have a Bud Light in your hand is wild. The fact that it's the banner raising night and you get to be on the field down there, it's amazing as well too. So it should tell anybody out there that's listening. I say same thing with Ride the Wave here with some of the young guys, but anybody out there, just shoot your shot. And if they say no, they say no. Or if they don't respond to you, they don't respond to you. Don't be discouraged. Like, just go out there because most people that go out there and just, all right, I'm just going to do this and we'll see what happens, leads into something. It really does. And you just follow that journey and sniff it out. I want to move forward and talk about Stadium Blitz. That's the new Rob Gronkowski family. It's kind of like the what's it called? Like the tough mudder,
like Tough Mudder, Warrior Dash,
and all that. It's kind of like
obstacle course race, OCR.
Yeah, and it's supposed to be a stadium tour. It's in different areas. How many have they had so far?
So right now they've done Buffalo, Tampa, Tallahassee, and Arizona. I believe Dallas got canceled. Ohio got canceled due to what's going on now.
So talk to me about Stadium Blitz. I mean, if you haven't seen this yet, Rob, you featured on Rob Gronkowski's Instagram account. That's big deal too.
Call me a legend on IG.
You saw him there. So talk to me about your first Stadium Blitz.
Yeah.
Your attire that you wear at this as well too, and your interaction with the Gronkowski family.
Yeah. So the second Stadium Blitz, again, like you said, it's run by the Gronkowski family. And the second Stadium Blitz was down here in Tampa, and I just moved down here, and I was like, if the Gronkowskis are going to be here in my city, I'm going to do it. Look, I am not in shape, and this is a 5K run with obstacles going up and down and over stuff. And then what makes Stadium Blitz different than, like a Warrior Dash, instead of just running through like a park or whatever and getting a little muddy and whatnot, it's a lot of stairs. So you're going into these stadiums and you're in the stadium. You are running up and down. So we were at Doak Stadium up at Florida State University and here at Raymond James here in Tampa. And it is a workout. It is, you cannot walk for 2 days after. It's rough. But so anyways, to backtrack, when I saw I was coming to Tampa, like you said, shoot your shot. I just slid into DMs. Look, I know Gronk's not going to respond to me. I know his DMs are just flooded with honeys. So I talked to Dan, I talked to Chris, and I was like, hey, I'm going to come do Stadium Blitz in Tampa. I'm going to wear a Pats jersey. I'm going to rock a Pats helmet. I'm going to wear the helmet for the whole race. It was 92 degrees. That was a big mistake.
And humid.
Yeah, 92 degrees, humid. It was a rough day, and like I said, not in shape. I did not practice. Everybody was posting like, what are you doing to prepare for Stadium Blitz? And I'm like, I'm drinking Bud Lights. Like that's my practice. And so I run the race, and I get to the finish line, and all the Gronkowski brothers are there, and they're going to take a picture, like a little group picture for their Instagram. And I just hear, helmet guy, get in the photo. So I run over and I get a little group photo, and that goes on IG and whatnot, and on Gronk's Instagram, on all the brothers' Instagram, on the Stadium Blitz Instagram. And the very next one that they were doing was up in Tallahassee, which is about a 4-hour drive. But I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna do that. And so me and my buddy Xander, we went up, and I did it again, and it was weird. So I wore the same exact outfit. Came in with the helmet, and as soon as I walked in, it was like, "What's up, Jay? What's up, helmet guy?" And Gronk was at the starting line. He's like, as you guys probably saw on his Instagram, he's like, that guy's a legend. I love that dude. He comes to every one. And a part of me is like, look, it's a fun event to do. There's an after party afterwards, but also just supporting the Gronkowski family is legit. And being able to push myself, it's kind of brings me back to the military roots of just, embracing the suck and realizing that this hour is going to be rough and you're going to have to put 50 pounds on your back and run up and down some stadiums a little bit. But it's been a good time. It's gotten me to, to have some experiences and get shout out on Gronk's Instagram and get pictures with him. Like the one we did up in Tallahassee, I told my friend, and I kind of like you said, I oversold it a little bit. I was like, me and Rob were pretty much best friends now. I joke around, like that's my guy. And I told my friend Xander, he's from Fall River, Mass, and he's living down here with me now. And I was like, man, if you want to meet Gronk, dude, I'll hook it up. Like we're boys, like he knows me. And I was like, when him and Camille get married, like it's gonna be the brothers and me just standing at the altar, And so we go on the field, and the guy's like, no, you're not allowed to be on the field. And this guy, Jay, that works for Stadium Blitz, is like, nah, that guy's cool. Come on, come hang out. And got pictures and everything and whatnot. And it was real dope. Actually, one of the things that happened here in Tampa was at the after party, they had like a VIP section. And I did not know that this was a VIP section. So I just walked in because there was a bar. And so I got a drink for myself and my girl. My girl, she's a Ravens fan, but, whatever. And she always likes to downplay, like, I don't care that you're in a commercial. I don't care that Rob knows you by name. It's whatever. I'm not impressed by any of this. And one of the girls that works for the bar that I won't name, but she was like, do you guys have a wristband? And we're like, no, are we not supposed to be here? She's like, yeah, I need to escort you out. And then Gronk's brother was like, yo, Jay, what's up, man? I just DM'd you. Come here. And the girl's like, oh, yeah, I guess you can stay. and so, like, this whole time where I'm, like, trying to pretend that, like, I'm some, like, hot shit and whatnot, which is all just an act. But it actually worked out at that moment because we were getting kicked out of VIP. And then when the Gronk family table was like, no, come hang out, come chill. Like, it was dope.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, you're talking about that you did it out down in Raymond James Stadium, which is, I don't think a lot of people know, but that's where the Tampa Bay Buccaneers play. I didn't know what the name of it was for years prior, but now you have to know. Raymond James versus Gillette. What are your thoughts about good old Tom Brady, TB12, the GOAT, the man you've dressed up as in years prior, coming down to Tampa?
Yeah, so here's the thing. Tom Brady is basically a living, breathing, walking God, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
And you know, if he's gonna leave the Patriots, obviously, even though I live down here and he's coming down here, I wish he stayed. But if he's gonna leave, you know, there's talk about San Diego, there's talk about, you know, him going out to Vegas and whatnot, playing for the Raiders. But if he's gonna leave, at least he's coming to my city. You know, I joke that like he just misses me and wants to be next to his biggest fan and whatnot. So he's gonna come hang out, and me and him are gonna go chill out on the water and whatnot and have a good old time. But it is crazy. And I will say this: if anybody is a Bucs fan who happens to be listening to this podcast right now, stop lying to me and stop lying to yourself, because I'm so sick and tired of you coming up to me while I wear my Brady jersey or my TB12 hat around town, and you go, "Oh yeah, Tom Brady. I've always liked him, always respected him." No, you haven't.
No one.
No, you haven't. You have hated him. You have talked shit about him. Spygate, Deflategate. He's a system quarterback. He's only good because of Belichick. This is all I've heard. I've been all over the states because, you know, I've lived in Texas. I lived in Baltimore. I live here in Tampa. I've been all over. And everybody has talked shit about Tom Brady for the last 20 years. But now all of a sudden he's your quarterback, Tampa. And now all of a sudden, oh, he's the GOAT. He's first ballot Hall of Famer. He's the greatest quarterback of all time. I love him. I've always loved him. I've always respected him. You're lying to yourself and you're lying to me, and it's disrespect, and I'm not liking it.
Well, and again, you're down there and you know that, and that's absolute facts. It's funny that everyone has put Brady as, oh, he's not the GOAT, and oh, he's a cheater, and he's not, you know, whatever it ends up being. And then all of a sudden the NFL, now that he's out of New England, wow, he's one of the greatest of all time, and he's going to be, you know, he's going to win the 7th Super Bowl. We can't wait to celebrate. I'm the biggest Bucs fan. It's absolutely so funny. But listen, I would do the same thing if I was a Bucs fan and Tom Brady came.
100%.
Listen to this. I have always said this. I am a LeBron James fan. I love LeBron James for what he does on the court and not some stuff that is off the court. But I will say this. If LeBron James came to the Celtics, the Boston Celtics, you bet your ass that all these Celtics fans would come out and be like, LeBron James, I'm the #1 supporter. I love him so much. I can't believe it. He doesn't flop. He doesn't complain. You would be doing the same exact thing. It's the biggest name. It is funny, Jay, to see the amount of season ticket holders that are now out there, especially those in New England, and we know some of them. I'm sure you know people that have just automatically bought season tickets. I don't know if you have done that yourself yet, but I
have not. No, so here's the thing. I'm Patriots, red, white, and blue. Look, Tom Brady's my boy. I'm obviously going to go to Bucs games. I'm not going to go to every Bucs game, you know, because there could be Sunday 1:00 games and the Pats are playing, and I'm not missing that. So, you know, I'm probably going to about 2 or 3, but
that's
I'm
dedication. It will be interesting too, because the I said this is you're gonna get a lot of primetime games with the Bucs now.
Oh yeah.
And you're gonna have 2 TVs set up in your living room. One's gonna be dedicated to the Bucs, and one's gonna be dedicated to the Patriots. And there's absolutely no. It's not wrong to root for Brady. It's not wrong to root for the Bucs. But if you're a New England Patriots fan, it's Patriots first. Right. If you go and say, "Oh, I'm buying a jersey, I'm going to root for the Bucs," you're a Tom Brady fan. That's what you truly are, and you're going to go.
I will not have a Tom Brady Buccaneers jersey. Absolutely not.
The Q&A that I've been doing Q&As every day, and someone said, would I get one? And I'm going to be honest, I would get one to support him, but here's the thing. If I got him on my fantasy football team, I would get a Bucs jersey, because I have so many other football jerseys throughout the entire league that I'll wear during fantasy football season. It's probably the only time you'd ever catch me in a Tom Brady Bucs jersey is if I have him on my fantasy team and it's Monday Night Football and the Pats aren't playing and I have to rep him just to show that rep. But I'm just not going to go buy one to support that. It still feels a little morbid that he's not on the team. But listen, you know the climate down in New England. We talked about this on the last one. Do you think Brady has some trouble down there with the humidity and the heat in Tampa Bay for the first 2 or 3 months?
I don't. I think he'll be all right. I think the issue with him, you know, obviously with the road games against Miami and struggling with that, with the heat, is you're acclimated to New England. You know, you're practicing outside in the cold, and you come down here to Florida, and it's hot as balls. You know, but he's going to be down here for training camp, you know, and he's going to – I see him actually participating in training camp this year and doing all these OTAs whenever, you know, they can actually get started and all that. because
with the new guys.
It does take a while for the blood to thin and for the heat not to bother you. And I think he'll be all right. I think he'll do just fine. It's just I can take it. I moved down here last summer, and it takes a little bit to get used to it, to being outside. The more you're outside, the more you get used to it. And like I said, I ran that Stadium Blitz up and down 5K, up and down stairs. It was 92 degrees, and it was rough. But again, I'm not a professional athlete, so I think he'll be just fine.
What are your expectations with Tom and the Bucs this season? Like, give it like a records prediction.
I'm seeing like a good 11-5. You know,
really? Okay.
Maybe squeak out a 12-4.
Because I think.
Go ahead.
Yeah, the division he's stepping into is a lot harder than the AFC East.
Yeah. So here's the thing: if Jameis Winston can put up 5,000 yards while throwing for 30 interceptions, you got to understand. Just people talk about Tampa's defense. They gave up X amount of points. If you're turning the ball over just your quarterback 2.5 times a game, that's rough on your defense. You're gonna give up a lot of points. So just the ball control alone that Brady's going to bring to Tampa is going to help out the defense. They're going to get the rest in the heat, so I'm seeing like a good, 4,500 yards, probably 30 touchdowns, maybe 8 or 9 picks, something from Brady. And just the weapons that he has now, it's just, it's unreal.
And the moves that they could still potentially make too.
Right. Yeah. And the stuff, the draft is still up ahead. Mm-hmm. Free agency is not over yet. And, we talked about Welker and Troy Brown and Edelman and stuff, and those guys are obviously great and we love them. But in the end, those are 5'10" guys, and he's got, 6'5", 240, 6'2", 220 that he's throwing to now. And, everybody out there is just big target, big hands, speed. And it's just, and that's why he's here, so.
Yeah,
and Arians is gonna let him do whatever the fuck he wants. So.
And I think that's one of the more underrated sides of this move. Bruce Arians is a great coach. He came out of retirement to coach that Bucs team, and now that he's got Tom Brady in his second year with the Bucs, I don't think a lot of people saw that coming. A move that a lot of people did see coming though was Brian Hoyer going back to the Patriots. I think the Spike King, he had something to say about it. He knew it before everybody else, maybe.
I mean, it's been tossed around. Obviously, we've been playing hot potato with quarterbacks for the last couple of days of what's going to end up happening, especially coming off of the Tom Brady officially leaving. And, everyone's going to have their piece. Are we going to get Cam Newton? Are we going to get Dalton? I want Jameis Winston. I've been such a Jameis Winston supporter. And today finally marks the day where Bill Belichick and the New England Patriots saying, nope, we are sticking with Jarrett Stidham as our starter right now. Right now. Let me tell you guys something. I've seen it. I woke up. Everyone's starting to know now that I work overnights at the hospital and I sleep all day. That's where I am. I disappear. I woke up. I go through Twitter. I go through Instagram, and everybody, and not everybody, but most of Patriots Nation are saying, wow, Brian Hoyer's back. That's stupid. Like, oh, Brian Hoyer's going to be our starter week 1. Savage Boston Sports on Twitter was saying, I can't believe Hoyer's going to be the starter week 1. Like, no, he's not going to be the starter. If you think he's going to be the starter, you're an absolute moron. This is the smart move for the Patriots because Brian Hoyer's going to come in. He's going to be the backup role. If anything, he's going to be a third stringer because this is going to show that the Patriots are going to go into this draft. They will pick up a quarterback. Do I know who they're picking up? No, you're not going to know who they're going to pick up. And you should be excited. It's Stidham versus Jalen Hurts. It's Stidham versus Jacob Eason. It's Stidham versus whoever they end up getting. That's what you want at training camp. You have Brian Hoyer to mold those two guys to say, hey, this is some of the playbook. This is what we've done in the past. Brian Hoyer is there for the defense to say, hey, I'm going to start getting you prepped for some of these games because these guys aren't going to know anything. They don't know what the league is like yet. I'm going to prep you for these games. Brian Hoyer, look him up. Look up some of the news about him. They said that Brian Hoyer was one of the guys that helped with the game plan for the Rams in Super Bowl 53. He's someone that can pick up a Pat Mahomes or a Lamar Jackson and know what he's going to bring to you, and then take a player on the team and say, this is what you have to mimic in our training, like during camp, or not even camp, but during practice. My apologies. Brian Hoyer is going to mean Brian Hoyer is pretty much a QB's coach right now. He's another coach to your staff right here. And my take is this, and I just said this hot take before we went on in our little group message, was Hoyer to stay on the team. If you saw me on Instagram, and I'm not going to be I said this, I wanted Hoyer over Stidham last. The reason why I wanted Hoyer when Tom
We're losing him. We're losing him. You're gonna have to repeat that.
What do you mean you're losing me?
You're freezing.
Can you hear me?
You sound like Domo Arigato, Mr. Roboto. And he looks like a painting right now.
Can you even hear me?
There he is.
There he
He's
is.
back.
There we go. Okay,
He's
what
back.
happens is I talk
You're saying
too
the
fast.
debate versus Stidham and Hoyer.
I talk too fast, and then what happens is the computer can't.
The internet can't keep up. Yeah.
They can't keep up with the Spike King. I wanted Hoyer over Stidham last year, and the only reason was because when Tom Brady goes out there and makes a mistake, he goes to the bench and he goes, "Hey, what did I do wrong?" And he'll listen to Hoyer. He wanted Hoyer originally, and that's why Hoyer got a second stint. Do you think Brady's going to Stidham and saying, "Hey, kid, what did you see there?" Do you think Brady's taking the time to go to Stidham like, "This is what I saw and this is what I did"? No, I feel like Belichick in a way, because they could have carried 3 quarterbacks last year. There was a time where it's like they had to make that cut. They needed that extra roster spot for whether it was defense, offensive linemen, wide receivers. There was a lot of tight ends. There was a lot of needs. That could have been a move last year that Belichick was like, "I'm cutting Hoyer because I don't want to give Brady any help. I don't want to help out Brady. I don't want to give him that." And that's a hot take right there. Because why is all of a sudden Brian Hoyer automatically back on the New England Patriots the next year when that was the guy that Tom Brady originally wanted, and that's the reason why he was on there. And then they found out that, hey, this guy's actually a really good coach for us. This is a guy that could help us. I'm just saying, I'm excited for Hoyer. Starter. He's a third stringer. If God forbid Stidham starts week 1 and all of a sudden he goes down with an injury, they're rolling out the rookie the next week, and they're going to roll with them. I don't see Hoyer starting. They're going to reserve him. They will carry 4 quarterbacks going into training camp, and Cody Kessler will probably stick around, whoever they have to stick around, because of an emergency in case something, God forbid, happens in training camp, OTAs, training camp, and preseason. Preseason week 3, whenever the final cut comes, they'll cut one of the quarterbacks. It's Hoyer, it's Stidham, it's X player from the draft.
So you do think that the Patriots are going to make another move? Like you think that the 2 QBs on the roster currently are not going to be the only guys going into the season?
Well, now it's 3 QBs because technically Cody Kessler, I believe, is still on the roster.
Kessler?
They're going to end. I want this to be more of they're not going after Andy Dalton, they're not going after Cam Newton, and they're not going after Jameis Winston. They're not putting money into the quarterback position this year. The only money that they're spending on is these rookie contracts, a Brian Hoyer and a Cody Kessler. And in total money, I don't know what the contracts are, and this is me just shooting shit. Probably $5 million they're only spending on that position, $6 million, $7 million. They're not spending a lot of money on that position. Whatever, if you take those 4 contracts and put them together, and I'm interested to see what Belichick is going to do go forward. If you're passing
side by side with what Tom Brady's getting this year with $30 million.
Yeah, exactly.
Something like that.
I mean, he's getting $25 million, but he's
25,
also but the $13 million that he's owed in dead cap. Anyways, remember that the Patriots still owe that money towards the quarterback position, so it's kind of counting that way. That's why they can't go out and sign a Dalton or a Newton because you have to pick up that contract. But what are your thoughts about Brian Hoyer? Because I don't want to freeze again.
I'll say this: anybody who doesn't want Brian Hoyer on the team doesn't know how the inner dynamics of a football team work. They think that maybe it's just the 3 hours that they see on the field on Sunday is all it is. They don't understand that these guys live, train, and work together. They're in the locker room together. They're working together all week. And Hoyer's the guy that you want in that locker room. Hoyer's the guy that, like you said, that you want on that, Wednesday practice outside on the field, working with the scout team, working with the scout defense and all that. And the knowledge that he has of the offense and the system is just, he's the guy. There's no one else that we can bring in who has that knowledge to bring up whoever we draft or to bring up Jarrett Stidham and help them grow. Like you said, he is a quarterback's coach that you can pull in an emergency. And I'm all for the signing. We all saw it coming. It was probably the least shocking signing of the offseason. But I mean, it was an obvious signing for a reason. It's a perfect fit.
I do think I'm the baseball guy here at Ride the Wave, Jay. So I do believe it's very comparable to something like the Dustin Pedroia situation, even though Pedroia is always hurt all the time at the current time. But you look at what he's able to bring to the team. He's normally used to be an everyday player, and now he's one of those guys who you can add to the scout team. He can tell you what that you're going to be seeing on a day-to-day basis versus whoever you're going to be up against that day. And I think that's a great thing that Brian Hoyer is going to be able to bring to the Patriots once again. What is second, third, fourth stint with the team now?
Third stint.
Third. Crazy.
Feels like the sixth.
Yeah.
I do want to say too, I want to poke the bear on this. There is some sort of underlying issue that we do not know about, and the reason why Brian Hoyer was cut last year. A lot of people in their fantasy land think that Tom Brady was going to last in New England and teach the next quarterback. Do you think Tom Brady was taught and his call up? No, he took advantage. He just studied himself. He was the one who got himself. And then when the time came, unfortunately, that Bledsoe got pushed out, but it ended up working out long term. Brady stepped up in that role and he took it with the balls and he went with it. And Brady is not going to be – Brady's a competitor. Brady's not going to teach these young guys what to do. Remember the stories we'd hear that, oh, Jimmy Garoppolo's not allowed to go to TB12 and work out with them. Remember that? I don't know if you remember any of that news that came out there a couple years ago. It's like similar. This could be something similar where maybe even Brady said, hey, get rid of Hoyer. I don't want Stidham to learn. I don't care about him. There's got to be something. There's something there. There has to be something
an
there.
Added story.
There has to be an added story because why are you bringing Hoyer back to teach these guys when you could have kept Hoyer last year to teach Stidham anyways if you knew Tom Brady was going to leave? I do want to take a quick second. Dito, work your magic on this one. 2-minute drill posted this video of Jarrett Stidham talking about Brian Hoyer. So I want to play this clip.
To learn and adapt to life in the NFL.
He really, I can't speak highly enough about Brian. He really helped me, a ton, especially when, I first got here and got, going to OTAs and mini camp and all that kind of stuff. He was here every day for me and helping me in every way that he could. And, just he's a true veteran, a true pro, and you could be more thankful for him.
Like that he gives the shout out to Hoyer and says he's the veteran, he's the guy that you want, he's the leader, and this is somebody that's perfect for this role. He is going to be the guy. Brian Hoyer's your bridge quarterback. He technically is. He's the guy that's going to be, without even playing a snap, he's going to be the guy in the next year or two that's going to get Stidham or whoever ready, and then he kind of just walks away. And Brian Hoyer,
he's getting up there in age too.
He is, and this is actually a perfect opportunity. I'm big Brian Hoyer fan. He actually loves young Gronk, by the way, too. So shout out to that. But I'm going to get a Hoyer jersey. I'm going to absolutely support him this year, even though he's not going to play a single snap in the regular season. And hopefully. I will say this. Hopefully. Yes, that's very true.
You think he changes his number again?
He wears number 2. Who else wears 2 right now? What does he wear? 2? I don't know. I want to say this. This is actually a perfect opportunity for Brian Hoyer because he knows that his career is about to end. This is his 3rd stint in New England. And I will say this. He stays here for a year or 2. He retires. You'll see him on Comcast Sportsnet. You'll start seeing him maybe take another role. Maybe he eventually steps away from the game and does become the quarterback's coach of New England Patriots. Brian Hoyer is actually going to be someone that might stick around with this organization for years to come after his playing days, quote unquote, even though he's not really playing anymore. But that's something to really think about in Patriots Nation.
Is Gostkowski going to be healthy this season?
I'm actually interested to see if they draft a kicker or they do something like that. I was going to say,
we haven't heard anything about him this offseason yet.
I don't think we draft a kicker, but I think we look at some undrafted free agents. I don't think we waste a pick on it, but we definitely bring some people in to take a look at their leg.
We're not going to do the Sebastian Janikowski and pick someone in the 1st round or something, or 2nd round like Roberto Aguayo or something like that. We're going to.
I think about Hot Rod from Georgia would be the guy to spend a 4th on it.
Well, look at Jake. What did they spend on Jake Bailey? Was that a 4th round pick for Jake Bailey, the punter? 5th round. Okay, so that's maybe where you're
going to. Long snapper with a 5th. So
yeah. Belichick drafts based on what's best available. That's what he's always said, and I kind of believe that. I don't think I somewhat believe it. Sometimes I don't, but I think they definitely need to do something with that, especially with the kicking game. It didn't really affect them last year. It kind of did, and it didn't. But you knew that
there wasn't as much confidence in it as there was.
No, there wasn't. It didn't really come down to that game-winning field goal that was missed, or you lose by 2 points or something. It was because of a missed field goal. There's some games that were, but it was more the defense, the offense that ended up struggling. Any last thoughts when it comes to Patriots, or any things that you guys want to say right now before we get on to our next topic?
If Nick Folk is back with the team, Brian Hoyer is gonna have to find a new number again.
He'll buy it off of him.
I don't make the rules.
Any last thoughts on you, Jay, about Patriots or anything that you want to talk about?
Yeah, just hopefully this season, with everything going on in the world right now and all this lockdown and coming, I fucking miss sports. And I want some grainy, crappy cell phone footage of training camp, and I hope that all comes out on time.
Now that I want to get into this topic, if you want to shut it off now and don't want to hear about sports anymore, and that's it, this is where we're ending it there. I want to talk about the corona, the COVID, and everything that's going on around our world and take a little time. I'm in the New England area, of course. You have Jay that's down in Tampa, and then you got Brendan that's out in Arizona. We have 3 different areas of the United States right now that are being covered, and 3 different things are probably happening all around. I want to take this time before I get into it, because I can go forever. I'm going to kick this back to you, Brendan. Give us another update of what's going on in your situation and what's happening in Arizona and whatever it is.
We're good. So I'm still on my college campus. They're starting to like slowly kick everybody off campus. It's more of like a very intense nudge to say, hey, get out. But so they've been sending out these emails like specifying what they want, what they don't want on campus. Like they're closing down all our restaurants and that kind of thing, and all the seating areas. So we have to take our food back to our rooms. But they're only going to be letting international students stay on campus now, which sucks for me because I'm not international. I'm from the USA. And another thing is they've canceled our graduation. So I've worked hard at this 4-year university, and I'm not going to get the same moment of walking across the stage, getting a diploma. I'm not going to get that anymore. We don't know what that's going to look like. No, I don't. There's still the future's so blurry right now because of all the constant factors that keep changing and changing over and over. But in Arizona, I don't think it's crazy bad yet. I know it's getting worse and worse every day across the country, but I do know that they've started closing down restaurants and bars and places that people gather. But I do think that there's this time right now that we don't have sports, and like sports is normally the place where we all come together in a time like this to like kind of leave, like blur it out in our backgrounds, to focus on something else and just kind of like escape the real world for a bit. But now like the real world's caught up to sports for the first time in a long time, arguably since maybe like Hurricane Katrina or 9/11, something like that. Where sports is just on pause right now. And I think they're going to see something really cool when they do eventually come back, where everyone's just going to come gather back together. It's going to be a really cool moment when someone gets the green light and says it's okay. And you can have a tennis game somewhere in like Iowa for all I care. It's going to be sold out. You're going to have people coming together in masses when this thing's all said and done. I think it's going to be a really cool moment. I definitely don't want to miss that.
Talk to me down in Tampa. It seems like Florida is not taking it too serious as some of the videos that are coming out there. And, there is a myth. There is a complete myth out there that says that the coronavirus doesn't survive in heat, and that's an absolute bullshit lie. It does. And what's going on down the Florida region, Tampa?
Yeah, so first of all, that myth about the heat, it's high 80s for the past 2 weeks down here. And we have cases in our neighborhood. I'm right next to the Air Force Base down here. So we have a case in the Air Force Base. We have another case in our neighborhood. The thing about where I live on the Gulf Coast, Central Florida, is this is where people come to retire. So we do have a lot of seniors that are down here, and as we all know, it hits them rough. The issue is that it's also spring break, and so we have all the beaches, and the kids were out there in Clearwater, St. Pete, and all that, and I know me personally, this weekend was supposed to be, a fun trip for me. Like we were Sox spring training and then going to go to Fort Myers Beach. And obviously that all got canceled, but we're just trying to do the responsible thing. As far as out and about in the Tampa area, all bars are closed. So bars aren't open at all. Restaurants are open. I think it's some sort of percentage of their sales has to come from food, and they're allowed to stay open. And but they're only allowed to be at 50% capacity. All the beaches, like I said, they're all closed now. All our city beaches, all the county beaches are all closed. And there's talks starting Tuesday, there'll be possibly a shutdown. But it's really weird because you have all this. It's almost like the game of telephone that we used to play as a kid, where you're hearing this rumor and that expands to this rumor, that becomes this rumor. And so you hear all these things, and you really got to kind of filter the noise and wait until something is actually said from a government official or from a government, entity saying like, this is what we're doing. This is what you can and can't do now.
The tough thing about that is it's politics, and it feels like everyone doesn't want to be the one to say this is what we're actually going to do, because each one of them are still trying to save their jobs in the society, like say Donald Trump. I mean, whether you like him or hate him, it's an election year right now for him, and he's someone that might not want to put his foot all the way down yet on something, because he knows that he could end up losing come November. Same thing with Governor Baker up here. He doesn't want to put his foot all the way down because he knows that he might not get reelected. Just little things like that people need to keep in mind. In terms of my area, I never am very open about where I work. I don't know if I'm freezing a little bit. I feel like I'm going slow here, but I want to just say that I said that now I work at Mass General Hospital. I work for the police department up there, and I'm on the front lines. There's a lot of people that are working tons of overtime every single day. Every day that I'm there is something new. And this is the major hospital in Boston. This is one of the top hospitals in the United States, number 3. And this is one of the top hospitals in the world where we have a lot of international people that come to see Mass General because it's Boston. It's the major trauma hospital. And just to see them already going into their version of a lockdown, you can't even have visitation whatsoever right now unless you have someone that's end of care life where only one person can visit and that's it. Or a pediatric patient, aka you have a kid, both parents could come, so only one parent might be able to come. And it's just seeing that. And now by Wednesday, every single person that steps foot inside that hospital has to wear a mask. It seems weird that why are we doing this 2 weeks ago, but it's just a step by step to get society ready for this. And that's over in the United States, it feels like that. There's no shelter in place yet, right? There's no shelter in place yet. Nantucket today just had their first case on the island. Now they're going to shelter in place just on Nantucket. When people hear lockdowns or shutdowns, they get scared. They think it's a military takeover. It's more of saying, hey, listen, we just really need society to stay inside, let this pass. We're not kicking doors down. They even told police officers up here, we're not pulling anybody over. We're not doing any of that. I don't have Chapter 90 in Massachusetts, which is motor vehicle stops. But in terms of regular police, Boston or Winthrop or anything, they're not pulling people over because you don't know who has what now in terms of the COVID situation. They're only going to pull people over if you're obviously reckless driving or there's a car accident, this and that. It's really interesting times, and I'm going to tell this truly to my heart, and it's something I talk to GRD every morning. The second I get out at 7 a.m., I call him. This is what's going on today. This is what I see. And this is the things I talk to around the community that I'm in. I had an interesting conversation last night with a gang member, a supposed gang member that comes, because at the hospital, you see everybody that comes into those doors. The hospital is a safe haven. And we were talking because he was seeing his newborn. We have shut down pretty much America in terms of jobs for the next 3 weeks. Unemployment supposedly by tomorrow is supposed to go up to 2.25 million people, which has never been ever heard of in the United States before. He said that, we're talking about the next 3 weeks, pretty much no one's having jobs, only essential people, whatever it ends up being. This is going to go longer than 3 weeks. This is probably going to go through the end of April. And I told him this, and he agrees with me. If you start telling people, hey, your job's going to be another 3 or 4 weeks before you could go back, what are those people going to do that are living paycheck to paycheck? That's 60% of America right there. The inner cities are going to get restless. And he even said himself, once not martial law kicks in, but once the National Guards gets deployed, once they're out there in the streets, once you start seeing them, there are going to be people that want to fight back because they just want to fight against something. He even said himself, and this is just one person in our society, and this is their thinking because this happens. Everyone has their own thoughts. He goes, if I end up losing my job and I have to feed my kids and my baby mama and do what I got to do, I'm going to do whatever it takes to make that happen. And that's one person, one individual that probably has the same thought out there as many other individuals that are going to group up and do this. It could get real bad real quick, and someone in America and the government official needs to put their foot down at some point to control this. We've seen this in America over the last 20 years of the different riots that have happened because of social injustice, and people want to take a stand. That's why we live in a democracy. And everyone has their voice being heard. But in certain times in crisis like this, it can turn bad really quick. You take a thing like China, they live under a dictatorship pretty much. They're going to listen to their military because the military is going to say, fuck you, bang, you're done. That's it. That's how they live their lives, and that's why they've been in that quarantine, in that military quarantine. You try doing that in America, it's not going to work because you're going to have 50% of the country stand up and say, screw you, we're not being held down. In terms of a lockdown, I do want to say that people are saying, oh, I can't go outside. They want to encourage people to be outside, walk around. Parks are closed. They're trying to close things down. You can still go out and drive because you're contained in your vehicle. You're not spreading it to anybody else. They, go visit your in-laws if you have to. Go visit your friends if you have to. But they want you to be mindful of, if you possibly have it. Again, this isn't us being in the little younger generation. Jay Lessard, you're still young. You're still young. You're still in the safe zone. This is going to affect your parents, your grandparents, those with weak immune systems, those with underlying health conditions that you don't know of, and we need to be educated. Me as a Spike King, obviously you hear me yelling, screaming. My internet doesn't work because of my hot takes, but my whole thing is I'm taking a step back over the next couple weeks, and anything that I hear and that I feel that needs to be put out there, I'm saying with truth behind it and with genuine self-being behind it, because I see it and I'm living in it, and I'm there at the front lines of one of the most important places, the hospital. And over the next couple of weeks, we do expect the influx of patients because the COVID tests take 5 to 7 days before you even test positive. Look at Marcus Smart. Look at the Celtics getting all tested, and then it took almost like a week later before, Smart actually has it. You're going to start seeing that this upcoming week, the cases are going to just jump and skyrocket. Doesn't mean that it's going to cause a ton of deaths. Doesn't mean that they're all going to be completely life-ending. The world's not ending at all. But it's just this could be something that we thought could be very quick, and it goes away. We can't be ignorant to that. This is something that's going to last for quite a while. That's my 2 cents on that. And, I sorry I'm ranting and raving or whatever I'm doing, but it's just this is what I'm seeing, and times will get tougher out there for everybody. But we are all in the same boat, and to me, from here's another story real quick. Somebody at work told me, he was a former corrections officer, lovable guy. I take everything that he says with truth, and I know what he's doing. Maybe a week and a half ago said, Brian, I think this is going to last all the way till June. And I was like, no, it's not. And that's me being ignorant to it, not wanting to believe the reality. After being at that hospital for 1 week and seeing every day, every 6 hours, something changing, I went to him the other morning, like 2 days ago. I said, I believe you now. I think it goes to June. He goes, yeah, I actually think it goes to August now. and that's what some of our thinking is. I know we want to be optimistic. I know we want sports back. I know we want our lives back. And that is going to happen at some point. But until we all take this serious, and not luckily for us, but we're seeing how the other countries across the world are dealing with the situation. We could try to be ahead of the game in terms of treatment, in terms of vaccinations, in terms of what we have to do to really contain it. That's the whole point. We're containing this. We're not ending it right now. We're containing it before it spreads even more. If we can contain it, and then a treatment's made, and whatever ends up happening happens, and then the numbers start going down and decrease, we can go back into society. I will say this. I've also heard that we might go back into our society and just going back to normal life. This might come back again, coronavirus. Over in China right now, they had a 60-day quarantine. They're starting to take the steps back to people to be able to go out, and they're not going to be able to, be in that complete lockdown. There could be a second wave of corona that comes out. So just be mindful of that too. So even when this is over, I think this was a good learning lesson for a lot of people to wash your hands, take care of your hygiene, make sure you be careful what you touch your face, things that you touch, and let's keep things clean. It literally feels like spring cleaning right now. We are in spring, and everything is getting wiped down and everything's getting cleaned out there. So any last thoughts from you two before we wrap this up?
Kind of back on the corona thing. Nike came out with a new campaign they just shared with all their sponsor teams, whatever, about the virus and what their stance is and how we can help each other. Because without these sports, like usually we're all divided. We have these 32 different teams, 30 different teams, whatever that we're rooting for, and we're divided. But when they're all gone, we're all on the same team. We're all human. Most of us were mostly Americans except Matt Gordon. But we're all on the same team when it comes to a situation like this that's so big and so global. And Nike's new campaign is play inside, play for the world. And I think you guys have probably seen it posted a few times. I think they went live with it yesterday. And it says, if you ever dreamed of playing for millions around the world, now is your chance. Play inside, play for the world. And I think it's a good thing to take to heart. Stay in your home. Stay as isolated as you can, like with you yourself and your thoughts, basically. Just if you don't know if you have it or not everyone's going to be able to get tested and get a Q-tip shoved up their nose and have a result in a week. I know we're not in the demographic that's at risk, but we still are putting others at risk when we go out, when we are interacting with those who we don't know everyone's health problems. You can't see that from just looking at someone majority of the time. So it's so important that we take this thing seriously and we self-quarantine.
I mean, here's the thing. There's that meme going around, like our grandparents' generations were told to go to war to save the world. All we gotta do is watch Netflix. Honestly, like just sit at home, play your PlayStation, watch your TV, NBA League Pass and NFL Game Time or whatever it's called. They're all free right now. I was watching the 2014 divisional game against the Ravens free of charge. And, all that it's on there. There's content out there. I'm exploring new content that I wasn't subscribed to in the past. And my buddy Jason up in Massachusetts put out yesterday, like now's the time, learn a new skill. There's so much stuff that's available that's out there right now. And for everybody that said, oh, I'd love to learn how to do this, but I never had the time, pick a new recipe, to cook, figure it out. You have nothing but time right now, spend time getting to know people. Like, I'm spending more time with my girl right now than I ever have. We went from a long distance relationship to living together. And now we're both working from home, and it's great. Like, we're learning so much about each other, even though we've been together for like 3 years now. Take advantage. Use this time that has been thrust upon us for a negative reason, and flip it on itself and make it a positive.
This is a great time for those, and I've said this numerous times, that want to get into the sports field. This is a perfect time to do podcasting. This is the perfect time to do Twitch live streaming. Like, I've been doing Q&As every night. I don't care if it's 30 people or 100 people on there. It's been fun to talk with people and being able to show that this is the perfect time. There's literally no excuse to be like, well, the world around me is closed off. I'm not going to do anything. Another important thing too is exercising. Do at-home exercises. Gyms are closed now. That stinks for someone like me. I love going to just do a little elliptical, get my mind flowing, do my tanning, like get out there, and you got to be at home. And again, we're all in the same boat, and we're all in this together. I like that campaign by Nike. So we'll get through this together, but just know that it's not magically disappearing. And there will be better days, but we have to hit the worst days first, and we haven't hit those yet. And that's the thing. Sorry to end it on a sad note. I just don't want to. But this is the reality, and we do need to be real.
Yeah, it's all good.
It is a topic that we need to talk about. But other than that, Jay Lessard, thank you so much for coming on. You're going to see his face a little bit more often here on Boston's Big Three podcast. I think he has a couple guests that he wants to bring on here as well. Spike can't always be on here. So the things are being in the works. I have another guest that's going to be in the works. This is the perfect time. If you're listening out there, we appreciate the support. We appreciate the love. This has been Boston's Big Three, presented by Ride the Wave Media, episode 44. Thanks for listening, everybody. Appreciate it. Much love. Stay safe. Wash your hands.